Welcome back to another Post Media Senators panel. I'm Bruce Garrioch, pleased to be joined today by TSN analyst and two-time Olympic gold medalist Cheryl Pounder. And Cheryl, as we speak today, the Senators, as they prepare to open a 3-game homestand in 4 days, are off to a bit of a disappointing start with a 3-8-1 record in the first 12 games of the regular season. I had to do some math there.
Well done, Bruce. Well done.
Just where have you seen the issues to start this season?
Well, listen, I mean, at the end of last season, I think everyone was so excited and hyped because of the stretch they were on to end the season. We were galvanized by the youth, the offense, the flair that they had, and really the energy, right? The energy that this team has the ability to create, which is what we're all holding on to right now. But for me right now, watching them day in, day out has got to be their team defense. When they're on the offense, when they have the puck in the O-zone, you see what they create, you see their talent and their gifts. It's on the other side of the puck. And for me, you know, we can talk as much as we want about the blue line and the lack thereof and the holes, but we have to also look collectively as a unit off the rush as well, where it's just simply communication and awareness. And you talk about even yesterday, losing your guy when you're back, you have the numbers, it's you're there. And that's something that I think they're really going to have to focus on. And it comes back to that. I mean, these guys play in the NHL. They know systems. So it comes back to communication and awareness for me and really fine tuning that. And a lot of that has to do with cohesion, really from the red line in.
Well, and people, Cheryl, tend to blame the defensemen when things like this happen.
Yeah. Oh, I was a D, so I get it.
Yeah, I'll be careful with that. That's why I left. But it ends up, but I think that happens because the defense, and this is a bad way to put it, are the last line of defense. So when people like Nikita Zaitsev and Josh Brown and guys like this make mistakes, the finger gets pointed at them.
Yeah, and it's more glaring, right? It's why it takes a couple hundred games in the NHL for people to say, okay, you're a defenseman now in the NHL, because it takes time to really grow and develop. I can honestly tell you, I remember my first world championship, Bruce, and I didn't know what to do. I was 17 years of age, and just the little mistakes that I would make would cost us, and then they would affect my psyche, and then ultimately the performance. But you're right, you know, there is accountability there. They need to be better, certainly. I think we've all been watching the same game. But you also need help. You need back pressure to be able to stand up. You need communication down back in your own zone. You have to know where the weak side is. You got to know where the back side is. What side are you on? And I think winning those low zone battles and creating quick, close support on exits are really important as well. So for me, it's a collective team defense thing. Certainly, I mean, the back end itself needs to be better. But when we're looking this holistically, I think we're watching guys get open that should not be open. And this also has to do with forwards and the way they're tracking back. So, you know, again, awareness, engagement, but it's collective team defense. And I think that's also because I was a defender and, you know, I could point the finger every once in a while as well. But I think if everyone looks at themselves right now and says, how can I be better in this space? I think it'll go a long way, because it's a group thing.
I think next time we have you, we need to get you a telestrator so you can point it all out for us. And
I tried the other night, but we didn't have access because it was so glaring. I actually was sitting there going, okay, there it is. But you know, I think they could all watch the video. I mean, you look at the video and, you know, who's in the picture, and really there should be 5 guys in the picture, right? And so a lot of the time there isn't, or there is, and it's just they get puck focused at the last second, and they turn their head, their feet, and the next thing you know, there's a gaping hole wide open in front and point blank opportunities. I mean, look at the goal yesterday. It didn't happen right away because the possession came off of that opportunity. Of course, Murray made a huge save. So you want to hold possession, you got to get it out, and you got to get it out by being structurally sound.
And I think, and you brought up Matt Murray, and I think for the most part, their goaltending with either Murray, Gustafsson, or Forsberg has been pretty decent for the most part.
Well, yeah, they're holding them in at times. I mean, we're seeing the ebbs and flows of a game. We're seeing the Sens get good opportunities and just perhaps not being opportunistic enough to be able to cash in, right? And to be able to change the momentum. Because even it was at the second period yesterday, we all of a sudden the momentum just swung the other way. And it was like, I don't think they got their first shot until the 9-minute marker or longer. So I think it's really critical that they get those big saves, which they really kind of have. And they build off that and do something on the other side of the puck. But it all starts with, you make that big save. How do you reset? How do you get to that puck first? How do you support that puck with awareness? Because when they get scrambling around, not just off the rush, that's also when they become a little bit scattered and wind up, outside of the dots and really giving up those opportunities.
One of the things that's happening right now, Cheryl, is as we speak, the Senators have 6 players in COVID protocol and associate coach Jack Capuano. It's impossible to say where this started, but the general manager rarely speaks to this team. And one of the things they talked about before they went on the road was that they had to be careful and about, where they went and stuff. But they're vaccinated, but the cities they went to were all hotspots at the time. I mean, this is going to happen to every team, isn't it, Cheryl?
Yeah, I've started traveling again too, and it's the first thing you talk about, right? You do go for dinner, and that's part of being on the road, and I think it's part of chemistry within a team too. So you might go to dinner, or because they're open now, and you are double vaxxed, and you're following protocols, and this is bound to happen. We see it happening in schools, we see it happen at all different levels of our world right now. So it is going to happen. It's just what it does to the group. Hopefully, everyone remains healthy and their families, the first priority. But then again, when you come back to the game itself, how it depletes the roster and makes it so difficult at a critical time that they can't really dig themselves into a further hole. So they're going to have to find ways to utilize guys to their strengths where they can. And really, they had an opportunity and gave a good run last night as well.
And they had a gutsy effort in Boston. There's no question about it. But I look at it, and at what point do you think, Cheryl? I exchanged texts with Bill Daly this morning, and I think we saw the Chicago Blackhawks at one point. It had as many as 10 people in protocol. I can't remember how many were players, but at what point, Cheryl, do you think the league maybe has to look at rescheduling games like they did last year? We're now talking about, as we speak, 6 players for the Senators. That on an 18-man skater roster, that's a third.
Look at Vancouver last year, right? There has to be constant communication about how this goes and when you get to a specific number, and no one wants to sort of take that accountability and say, this is we because one team is fine and one team isn't, right? So advantage team you're playing, and I think so. There's got to be communication about this because it really is such a difficult time and unprecedented, really, the last 2 years, as we know, and the difficulty that everyone has gone through. I guess the difference now is with the double vax, the protocols still change, a little bit leaner in terms of the coming back. So it'll be interesting to see. You see a guy like Connor Brown, who, all of a sudden his 384th game, comes to a glaring halt. And, veteran guys, and guys who have an opportunity, Sokolov gets in, and you have to look at that. Can people and players and AHL guys be opportunistic in the moment? Which is difficult when, the lines are quite lean because of the protocols.
Well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Erik Brannstrom while we have you on, because Erik Brannstrom was, he's the last remaining piece of the Mark Stone trade here. There's an awful lot of expectations on him in this marketplace. I think Erik Brannstrom, he's an elite puck mover. I think he's just got to play his game and he'll be fine.
Well, isn't that sort of the story, right? Learning to play your game. And I had the opportunity. I was doing an AHL game. I was out in the booth doing the Marlies when they played Belleville, and he was part of it. And I was watching him and his effortless skating, the way he uses the middle of the ice. And he was similar. He does that very, very well. And he is a puck mover when he keeps it simple. But I think that piece, right? Knowing exactly what you bring and the ability to deliver as a young player when you're in and out of the lineup and you have to maintain your confidence. I think the biggest thing for me is, he was on PP2 last night. That's something that, his skill set provides. There's more ice available to him, the ability to walk the blue line, use his edge work, which I think is so strong. Where I think that he needs to just be careful a little bit. But again, this is learning. And we talk about below the hash marks or below the tops of the circles. He's got feet. I mean, I know as a 5'5" woman who had, quick feet, you have to, in a non-contact game, for me, which is very similar when you're talking about playing against big guys in front of the net, you can't cross-check. You have to use your feet to defend. And that's a gift he actually has. So not trying to out-muscle guys, but using his feet to have good defensive positioning and use his stick. And so I think if he can do that on the defensive side of the puck, we all know he can move it. Yeah. So if he can calm that area down a little bit, and that's sometimes just wanting it so bad, and the passion that I say kids because I'm old, but have that ability to sort of defend on that side, because I think we know what he can do on the offensive side of the pocket, and in particular in his zone exits, right? Using the middle of the ice or activating into the middle is something that I think the Sens typically have success with when they utilize their D on their breakouts. So we see it with Shabbat when Mete uses the middle of the ice. We see it with Brannstrom. So again, I think with the movement forward, I think obviously he can do a great job. I think if just he focuses on that one element of using his strength, which is his feet, I think it'll serve him well.
Well, one of the things that pro scouts talk about, and we'll move on from him, but one of the things that pro scouts say to me is that he puts himself in positions sometimes, Cheryl, to get hit too much. And for a guy of his size, he can't play that way.
Well, and that comes back to feet. He has the ability to move around and change his direction very, very quickly. And we saw it last night even on his penalty. Don't go toe to toe with guys that are 50 pounds heavier than you. Use your feet to get in good position on them, to use your stick, to take away lanes, take away space from them. So not an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. But I think something, because he's got that mobility, he can do. So I think that's something that he can certainly work on. But again, it's very difficult, right? When you're in this situation, right? Perspective is different when you've got pressure on you and you feel like you got to deliver in the moment. It becomes much more difficult than guys that just know they're there.
Well, one of the things that's going to keep you busy, I'm sure, in the next couple of months is the Canadian national women's team tour of Canada. And the United States with the American team as they prepare for Beijing Olympics in 2022. And I think you'll be in the area next weekend because you've got Kingston on the 20th and Ottawa at TD Place on the 22nd.
Hope you're there, Bruce. Better be there.
No, but obviously this is a good tune-up for these teams, and this is going to go a long way in shaping the Olympic rosters for both teams, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're playing. Yeah, and I would agree with you, Bruce. I mean, they're playing Finland. We're on the call tomorrow morning, but the games, Canada, the US, they simulate the greatest competition, the greatest rivalry in sport, Canada, United States. And when you put that product on the ice and you're evaluating your group to make the Olympic team, what better place to do it than in Kingston and Ottawa in a full building? And I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on the athletes, which I think they want to see. I think it's going to show all of the young girls, boys, fans out there that this product is unbelievable, and you're going to feel the energy in the building. And most importantly, I think you're going to probably have the team whittled down on both sides after these games, because it's an opportunity for them to evaluate as they head into December, which will probably be their final process or journey to naming their team with the final games in St. Louis and Minneapolis. So I'm really excited about it to do with Kenzie Lalonde, where we're going to be in the booth together, talking a lot about the game and really excited about the building, right? The energy. So some great talent out there, some youthful talent. Ottawa's used to seeing it with their Sens, but with your national team, there is a lot of firepower there. So coming off a world championship heater, I'm pretty excited to watch what they bring in these exhibition games.
Well, Cheryl, we really appreciate your time today. And
you didn't talk about the goals I actually scored at the Olympics.
Okay.
One question.
And you know what? And I just happened to be there when you beat the hell out of the host. the nice Italians, and you beat the hell out of them in Torino in 2006. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yes. You know, we might have won 17-0, but Pounder started to go end to end because I was looking for my first hat trick ever. And the first goals I got in senior international competition at the Olympic Winter Games. So I'm just going to do that and say, yeah, no, much better on the other side of the puck.
Listen, thanks for your time today, Cheryl. For the Post Media Senators panel in Ottawa, I'm Bruce Garrioch with Cheryl Pounder.